All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass here. So I'm out here tonight because I'm CCing the cylinder heads for the engine. So what happened is, through exchange of words and me doing my due diligence, I was going back, and JJ and I go back and forth quite a bit. So I had to go back in our conversations. We talk a lot on my Facebook Messenger. And it came up that these cylinder heads are at 75 cc's. So that had me concerned, because I had crunched my numbers for a CC number for the cylinder heads much lower. And I'm not going to tell you that number because it's not even relevant right now. But I had to act fast. So I made some calls, sent some text messages, Facebook messages, and quickly came up with a backup plan for this engine, because right now parts are hard to get and everything's got to be on the fly and on the dime. So either way, I came out here and I texted my wife that I wanted to start using dope, and she got me some syringes. Not that it was for dope, I told her what it was for, but these are 10 milliliter syringes, and you can use like methanol, like windshield washer fluid. Mainly because a little bit of coloring, you got to make sure you don't trap any bubbles in it, but the coloring helps you see the meniscus. You want just a little bit. I was using an old, if you guys have ever repurposed porn, like who watches DVDs anymore, like that's what I used it for. So once you get a little meniscus out of the setting hole for the DVD, that's when you know you're at the point. You want just a little meniscus. So we were just about, I'd call it between 67 and 70 cc's. That gives us a really nice window for pump gas. We can still run it on 93, but I did change my course of action on the camshaft. So I'm not going to use that aggressive solid roller, and I'm not going to use the Victor intake, and here's why. So in the course of all of this happening, this is kind of fate happening right here. This engine is going back to its original course of plan. I wanted a utilitarian, like a mule motor, something that I can put in the car. If I hurt the motor, go bracket racing, or if this stayed around, or the Bonneville, the Pontiac needed an engine, this can go in. This engine should produce enough vacuum for power brakes, no questions about it. It's like a 520 lift cam, like 230, 234 duration. It's actually ironically very similar to my old engine that was in the car prior. Goddamn near it with the RPM intake, and the heads are probably a little bit better. So I think with this engine in the car, we should be able to do like definitely low 12s to run in the brackets. And if everything works out good, I might just stuff this in there and build up that one. And I decided at that point, if I could sell off the intake and the camshaft as a package deal, I'll make my money back and break even. I'm not looking to make money on it. I have somebody interested, but if somebody else happens to be interested in the Victor intake and the roller camshaft, the solid roller, which is like a 660 lift, 250 duration, on a 108 killer piece. If somebody's interested in that, let me know. I do have somebody who's interested, but I'm waiting to hear back. But if anybody's interested, let me know. So either way, I'm going to end up using a hydraulic cam. My buddy out in Georgia has one. He's an olds guy. You guys might know him, Dr. Dan. He's got a used one with match lifters already broken in, so we don't have to worry about failure or anything, which could still happen. But I'm probably going to have to change valve springs, but that's not really a big issue right now at all. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and continue with this plan, and we're actually going to have a very, very solid mild motor with the studs, the straps, and everything. This thing is going to be a really kick-ass piece, and this is actually what I should be aiming for with this engine anyway. So we CC'd the heads, and like I said, I did it a couple of times, and I always fell in between 67 and 70. There's a little bit of discrepancy because I'm not using like a legit beret. I'm using the syringes in a CD, so that window, and really it's like I'm going to end up being like a quarter point in compression. So it's not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. It'll still be good on pump gas. This motor is between 10 and a quarter to 10.3 to 4 compression, and we're good on pump gas. The biggest thing is removing the heat spots from the cylinder head, so all of your rough casting areas in the chamber. So, but either way, just wanted an update you guys. This is a really good point. This is what happens when you're building an engine. This is why a lot of people pay machine shops and engine builders to do it. They figure this shit out for you. You don't have to go through all this stuff. And especially right now with getting parts, I'm scrambling to find stuff. So, this is right now is where going back to hot running like it was in the 50s is a thing because parts are becoming hard to come by. So, on that note, we'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Copper Cutlass. Hit the like button, subscribe, goddammit, share it, help me out. And then, don't discard old porn DVDs. They come in handy for fucking CCing cylinder heads. See ya. Alright guys, 100% sketch level. So, I'm CCing these cylinder heads. I have to put a spark plug in one of them. You see I got a bunch of syringes here. I promise I'm not shooting up dope. These are 10 milliliter syringes. You fill them up and blah blah blah. And that's what we're gonna do to CC the heads because controversy point, I'll touch on it later, but for now I'm gonna focus on just doing this, and then when my wife can come out here I'll better explain why I'm doing this after having notes on the heads. There's some discrepancies that we couldn't figure out, so last minute I'm doing it this way. Most people would use plexiglass and grease. I'm actually using an old porn DVD and gasket cinch, and no, that's not a joke, that's legit. I'm using an old porn DVD here to hold our methanol windshield washer fluid. So alright, we'll get this going and I'll show you guys how it's done. Alright, so I filled up. So what I did was I put some gasket cinch. You can use grease to hold the CD down. And what you do is you grab your syringe and you pull and you fill up until the 10 milliliter line right there. And then you inject it. Ooh, I had a little in there. And so you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc., until you get a little meniscus. Now on this one, I just want a rough guesstimate, I guess you want to call it. This is about as scientific for a guess as you can get. Ideally, when you do this right, you want a couple of holes spaced out, right? And you want to get just a little meniscus on this. And you can see I overfilled it slightly because I got a little runoff. So I'm just trying to get a rough idea. I mean, a couple of cc's off here and there aren't going to hurt you. If you're go into like the nth degree, you're building like a mountain motor, yeah, I get it. But we're building a street engine here where it's not that intensive to be, in my opinion at least, that critical. I just need a rough figure for my compression numbers. So anyway, we got this going on. I filled it. And I'm going to do this again because I want to double check it, make sure that my count was right. And I'll come back to it and give you guys that figure. But this is like a rough way to do it. We've shown you before with a graduated cylinder. I guess I went to college. But my buddy, JJ, which you guys have met and seen, and he's done videos and I've posted them up. He suggested the syringes. Well, my wife works as a pharmacy tech. She's the smart one in the house. And she picked up a bunch of these for me. I really only needed one, but whatever. I guess it'll make it easier if I fill up 4, do 4, and then do one at a time to keep count, because my problem right now is my brain's scattered everywhere in my head. So yeah, you want to, you see we can push it and it's pushing fluid out. We know it's not leaking. We know the valves are not leaking. So there's no water on the intake side or coming out of anywhere. You want to make sure the valves aren't leaking. That's a good way to check too. You fill them up, make sure they're not leaking. Obviously, when you pressure test the cylinder heads, there's a different approach for that, but we're CCing the heads. And again, in detail, I will talk why I'm doing this so late in the game. Alright guys, so I counted it off. Our cylinder heads are under 70 cc's, I believe. I still have to do some figuring out, make sure if I remembered correctly, 1 milliliter equals 1 cc. Actually, my text just came through from my wife. Dinner's done, so I'm going to let this be. I'm going to head in, get some dinner, and then I'll come out, I'll do a video on why we're doing all of this. And then I got to crunch some numbers as well for my static compression, see what we're going to do. So I'll let you guys go. Just a couple of things. When you do use the syringe to fill it, make sure you get no bubbles in there. You don't want any air in your veins, I mean cylinder head fluid. So you want to make sure that when you pull it out, you're in the fluid and you're not going to have any air bubbles in there, because that'll throw your numbers off as well. But we filled it up 7 times, just actually a little under. I think I was at the like between 3 and 2 milliliter line, somewhere along there the last time when I filled it. And so that actually means we're under 70 cc's. This is a great thing. So we'll follow it.